Local presentation of Read About It is made possible in part by a grant from Cox Communications of Oklahoma City, proud sponsor of this effort to promote reading, education, and literacy in our community.
The life of Ronnie Claire Edwards will be the topic on Read About It tonight. Hi, I'm BJ Williams. Ronnie Claire Edwards will be talking about her autobiography, The Knife Thrower's Assistant. Susie Beasley will talk with Frank Ray. Kids Corner will feature Heidi Johnson. We also have Doug Benton and Julia Frzonki. Coming up, Ronnie Claire Edwards.
Read About It, a public service program of the Metropolitan Library System. Your host, BJ Williams.
Ronnie Claire Edwards grew up in Oklahoma, and she left the state and went on to fame and fortune. She's best known all over the world for her role in the Waltons as Cora Beth Walton Godsey. She has appeared extensively in television, film, and theater. She has written a number of musicals for the theater and has most recently been touring in a one-woman show around the country. The Knife Thrower's Assistant is a book about her early years. I think you'll find what she has to say fascinating. What inspired you to write this book?
Well, it started out as a one-woman show, and it won the Edinburgh Festival Fringe first. And I had done it all over the United States, and Elizabeth Forsythe Haley, who wrote A Woman of Independent Means, which was a big bestseller, said that it should be a book. And so I said, well, I don't know anything about writing a book. And then Edward Swift, also another wonderful novelist, Texas novelist, said, well, you should make it into a book. And so I started writing a book. And the impetus changed from a one-woman show to when I began to write the book. I began to write it for another reason, and that I wanted to have these people remembered. I didn't want them to be forgotten, nor their stories to be forgotten.
Right.
And so that's why I wrote the book.
Well, I noticed in the book you started out by talking about your mother and father,
Yes.
and they each had separate names for you. And so in a way, looking back at all of this, you were also searching for who you were, and maybe even who your mother and father thought you were. So they were intriguing characters throughout this. They were, what seemed to tie the book together was the letters that your father had written to you.
Yes.
But, your mother was always there too, wasn't she?
Also her letters.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, and very, they were fascinating people and eccentric.
Well, how did you choose the people that you did put in the book?
It was difficult because my father cultivated eccentrics. We were surrounded by them, both family members that you couldn't escape from, and also people that he was drawn to. And it's not unusual that he was drawn to them, because he himself was raised around people who were, well, turned funny, is the way I might say it. So he felt very at ease with those kind of people.
Oh, one of the ones that intrigued me the most, and I hasten to say not a relative, was the monkey.
The monkey.
Won the star.
Yeah, won the star.
Sad little monkey.
Yes, well, Bret Harte wrote some wonderful short stories. The Luck of Roaring Camp, The Outcasts of Poker Flat, Tennessee's Partner, wrote some wonderful, wonderful short stories. And his short stories they combine both humor and great pathos. And the story of the monkey, I had hoped that the story of the monkey would have that kind of element in it, that it's both funny, you laugh and cry at the same time, but that the monkey becomes a character. You care for the monkey and what happens to him and what his fate is, and that he dies of heartbreak. And it's always very funny also when you give animals human characteristics.
Well, I think this monkey seemed to have just reached out and grabbed those human characteristics
Yes,
himself. He didn't
It's
wait
easy
to
to
be-
do with a monkey,
Yeah.
because they're so close. But you know, it's like when you say to your dog, "Did you vote today?" You know, I mean, when you give an animal human characteristics, it's always hilarious.
Yes.
To me, it is.
Well, I have a great picture of him. You described him at one point tormenting the longhorns by hanging off of the
Yes,
horns
by
by
his
their
tail.
tail. And I thought, well, that's dangerous, but it was probably a lot of fun while you were doing
Monkey
it. too.
wand. Yes.
So, and now it was your uncle who...
My great uncle.
Your great uncle. Well, you know, in the South, greats and regulars sort of blend together, don't they?
Well, this was, yes, Uncle Homer was my great Uncle Homer. It was the one that went down and fought with Pancho Villa. Yes.
So you were really very much at home with all of these eccentric people.
Yes,
You didn't need the borders there to have that kind of upbringing, did you?
No, I was always fascinated by those people. And I sometimes think that the generation past is the more interesting generation than your generation. And the grandparents were always very interesting to me. I had 4 living grandparents until I was in my 30s. And their stories were always very, very interesting to me.
Well, I think partly because we only hear part of it, we don't experience it. It's something that we hear bits and pieces of, and you have to bridge the gap yourself, I guess, between all of these stories.
And also, I think that in Oklahoma, Texas, they were settled by people basically from the South. After the Civil War, there was that great movement into the West because they came back and there was nothing. And I had great-grandfathers who came into Texas. And it's interesting because the really true poetic language of this nation has never been anywhere except in the South. True poetic language. And when they made that move from the South into the West, they brought that language with them. But the topography changed that language. It remained poetic, but it got rougher.
Because they were living a bit rougher.
It got rougher. Right. But it is still a very poetic speech. My father spoke a poetic speech. And it's the nomenclature of the land, of the earth, of the elements, and it's extremely poetic.
Well, Fannie Flagg calls your style Oklahoma Gothic. Do you think that's...
Yes, I think that's what that is. Yes, I think that's what that is.
And it certainly comes through in the Knife Thrower's Assistant. I mean, it's just right from the very first page, and you're reading that, and part of me thought, oh my goodness, I have gone back in time and back home, kind of thing.
And I heard that from my father, and heard that kind of language from my father, and it was very colorful and very funny. And I think that everyone's background is a gift, and we just must. It's a gold mine. We just must learn how to mine it.
Well, and I think it's often a gift that's not appreciated until
They don't know it
until you look back on it.
I said everybody's story to break your heart.
Yeah. Well, and I have to say, from what I read, I think your mother contributed to that poetry as well.
Oh yeah.
Very in a different way.
In a different way. Yes, in a different way. And they were people who were educated in the classics. That was just came with the territory. You know, you just had to know Milton, Shakespeare, and the Bible. You know,
and Robert Browning.
Yeah, and Robert Browning. Yes, and Robert Browning.
Yes. I remember the letter she wrote to the critic.
Yes.
You have misquoted
Yes.
Browning. So
yes.
Very few people would even know that today, I
No.
suspect. Well, you said in the book that you had begun this in a way as a search for yourself. Was it a successful search?
Well, I think we're never stopped. I think we're always on a search for, who we are, and I think that your work defines you in a way. Your work tells you who you are. And it's all, I think your life is about contributing, you know, the best of your ability to society, to be a good citizen, and to use your talents and your gifts to contribute to society at large. It's not just a self-indulgent thing. It's not just for your ego that you use these gifts, but that you hopefully contribute.
That's a wonderful note to conclude on. I think that, in a way, expresses the whole book.
Oh.
And I want to thank you very much for being with me.
Thank you. I enjoyed visiting with you very much.
I hope you enjoyed that talk, and remember, you can find her book at your library and your favorite bookstore. Coming up next, we have Susie Beasley. She'll be talking with Frank Ray about a book he really enjoyed.
Frank, tell us about this book, Myth Information by J. Allen Verasti.
This is the kind of book that I really enjoy. It has 590 facts or statements that people have grown up believing or
Kind of like early urban legends.
yeah, urban legends, that'd be a good term. One of them is General Custer didn't die at Little Bighorn. He wasn't a general, he was a lieutenant colonel.
Right. The largest city in America.
Well, it is not Los Angeles, it's Jacksonville, Florida. No one is buried in Grant's tomb. They are entombed because they're above ground in Grant's tomb. It's this kind of stuff. People, I've always heard this has always been true. The first words from the moon was one small step for man. That's not true. Tranquility Base, the eagle has landed.
Right.
Or Houston.
Yeah.
So this is what the people are going to find. Some of these old wives' tale, they've grown up hearing this all the time. This is always true, but it's not necessarily. There's some.
What do you think is play on words?
Yeah,
And people have taken it and put it in some other place
Yes.
in different contexts.
Different contexts, and that's what you're gonna. That's what makes it so fun and interesting. I've read this. I've always known this. Lindbergh was the first person to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. Well, that's it. He was the first person to fly solo from New York to Paris, but he was about the 27th or something to fly, to actually cross the Atlantic. It had been done several times before.
He was the first one to do it by himself.
Yes, he was the first one to do it.
Just him in a plane.
So this is what they're going to find out, and it's A through Z, and it's just very fun. You can amuse your friends with it after you finish and play. It's what trivia is based upon. You know?
Yeah, good conversation starter, icebreaker. So you were motivated to go to this because you've heard these things and you want to kind of find out.
Yes, that's basically what it was.
Oh,
I saw this and I thumbed through it real fast and realized that it would have things that was interest me and broaden my knowledge a little bit.
Yeah, and interest others too. Well, Frank, we appreciate you coming and sharing with us Myth Information by J. Allen Verasti. And this book was published earlier. It may be available at your local bookstore, but it is at your local library.
Yes, it is.
And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Frank and Susie. And now I have a few books for you. This first one is by Anthony Gottlieb, and it is called The Dream of Reason, and it is a history of philosophy from the pre-Socratic philosophers up to the Renaissance. Now, you might be surprised to hear there were philosophers before Socrates, but Gottlieb will tell you who they were and what they thought. And he takes us right up to the Renaissance and explains along the way man's drive to understand, which I think has fueled philosophy for all of this time. He uses both example and anecdote to bring to life not only the philosophers but their ideas, and we get to learn a great deal about people like Socrates, Plato, Erasmus, and Bacon, as well as little detours along the lines of the physics of angels. I'm sure all of us have heard about the great philosophical arguments about how many angels could dance on the head of a pin. The medieval philosophers were actually thinking about about a great many other things than that, and you will find out about these things in The Dream of Reason. Most of us avoid philosophy because it is very dense and it requires a great deal of background in order to understand it. Gottlieb will help you overcome that because his writing is very lucid and clear. He is able to explicate the philosophers and their ideas in a way that all of us can understand and enjoy. So I would recommend The Dream of Reason if you're at all interested in what people think about life and thinking. Moving on to something a little bit lighter, the next book I have is Making Memory Boxes. It is by Barbara Mariello, and it is subtitled Box Projects to Make and Give and Keep. And she tells you how to make a box, not only how to make it, but to cover it, to go along with whatever you're planning to put inside it, whether you have a keepsake, perhaps a special shell that you found at the seashore, or you have photographs that you would like to give to your grandchildren about your family as they are growing up. This is a delightful book for anybody who wants to spend a little bit of time making not only the gift, but the container very, very special. And the next book is Tabletops by Barbara Milo Orbach. It's subtitled Easy, Practical, Beautiful Ways to Decorate the Table. Indoors or out, this will give you ideas not only on the centerpiece for various kinds of affairs around the table, but also choosing linens, napkin rings, and china as well. A good book to look at before you throw your very next party. I think you will enjoy it very much. Coming up next, we have Kids Corner, and Heidi Johnson once again has lots of books for our little readers. Okay, Heidi, what have you brought for us today?
Well, I brought some books that are appropriate for Easter. One of them is called Happy Easter, Davy, and apparently this is about the 7th or 8th Davy book that this author has brought out. And Davy is this cute little bunny who's very good with his siblings, and it's getting close to Easter, and they hear a story about the human children getting presents from the Easter bunny.
Oh dear.
Now, they don't remember any Easter bunny. They know lots of bunnies, but no Easter bunny. And they go look for him everywhere, high and low, cannot find the Easter bunny anywhere. And his siblings are disappointed, so David takes it upon himself to make presents for all of his siblings and plays Easter bunny himself on Easter morning. Everybody's very excited, and lo and behold, there's an extra present for Davy. So was the Easter bunny there after all?
Oh my.
I know.
Well, it sounds like Davy is a wonderful oldest sibling, doesn't it?
Yes, he is. He's very concerned about his younger siblings and trying to be a good role model to the younger ones. So he's quite a nice bunny.
Yeah. And lovely illustrations. These are just gorgeous, soft colors.
Yes, they are. The pastels really drew my eye. And Davy is just such an adorable character. I think everybody will love hearing about him.
Now, this one also has a bunny rabbit in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is called My Bunny and Me. Now, this starts out as an imaginary bunny, or actually a bunny that was drawn by the little boy in the story. And what drew my eye to this one is just the gorgeous illustrations. They're very lifelike, and you almost feel like you're right in the middle of the story. The little boy draws a bunny, and he imagines what would happen if the bunny came to life, and all the adventures that they could have together, and the things he would do with his bunny. Like the bunny could dig a burrow and he would line it with grass, or they would look up at the reflection of the stars and try to guess how many stars there are. And toward the end, just as you're starting to wonder whether the bunny is real or not, and it's so touching about the story because the little boy says, well, and if you really were a real bunny, the thing I would do with you is let you go, because I love you so much. And just as you're starting to wonder, is he a real bunny? You see a picture of the little boy with the drawn picture in his pocket. So you know it's really just his imagination. Mm-hmm. But it's a great book for children to look at and let their own imagination go free.
Absolutely. Beautiful illustrations, as you said, very lifelike, but also these wonderful primary colors that would draw the eye.
Right, and I'm sure it will draw kids' eyes to them. So.
Well, thank you, Heidi, for being with us.
You're
and
welcome.
Remember, you can find these books at your library and your favorite bookstore. With me now is Doug Benton of the Oklahoma Gazette and the Metropolitan Library System, and I think Doug has brought quite an intriguing book. Doug, what have you got there?
Well, I think it's intriguing. I enjoyed it an awful lot. It's called Silent Stars. Not science fiction this time. We're talking about movie stars from the teens and the 1920s. This book is written by Janine Basinger, who is a professor of film studies at Wesleyan University. She's one of the faces who shows up an awful lot in television documentaries about movies. So, although I don't have a picture of her here in the book to show you, you'd know her. Trust me, you'd know her if you saw her. Her premise in this book is that there are a collection of people who were really big movie stars in the 1920s, mostly is what she's dealing with, some of whom we have completely forgotten about today, but many, we know the names, we know the faces, or we kind of vaguely recognize the faces, but we have the wrong idea of the kind of people they were, the kind of stars they were in their day. For instance, she has a chapter on Rudolph Valentino, and, you know, she makes it perfectly clear that Valentino was not a joke in the 1920s, that he was not doing camp, that he really was appreciated, not only by females in the audience, but by the men too, that he was a crossover star who had a following on both sides. The women liked him probably a little better than the men did. And she talks about his qualities as an actor, his talent. You know, how good was he? She said he didn't have a particularly broad range, but what he did very well. And that there was a slight hint of self-parody sometimes in the roles, but that really wasn't the Valentino image. She has a long chapter on the actor John Gilbert, who is probably best remembered for almost marrying Greta Garbo. Garbo left him at the altar. I mean, she just didn't show up for the wedding. But he did make a few films with her, and actually he was the star who made a star out of Garbo, because she appeared in his films. I was going to show a picture of him for people who don't remember what he looked like. I probably won't be able to find it now. Let's see. It's back here in the back. He's in here somewhere. Well, we'll just take up our time by looking for him. Here he is, for folks who don't remember him. Basinger points out some interesting things about these people, that Gilbert did not become a big star in romantic roles early in his career because his nose was too big.
Oh dear.
And they couldn't find a way to photograph his nose properly until he grew the mustache. The mustache apparently took care of the nose problem. The lighting men did figure out ways to light him so that his nose did not appear too large.
So this is a technical book as well as
well, in some ways it is. Yeah, it is. Gilbert is one of those people who is famous for not being able to make the transition into the sound era. And it's been said about him that his voice was too high, that it was too squeaky, that it didn't go along with the image of the great lover. She points out that Gilbert made a dozen sound films. They were all relatively successful. His problem was that his type of character, the great passionate lover, simply was out of style by 1930. And so she corrects a lot of these misinterpretations of some of these people. Another person she has a lengthy chapter on is Lon Chaney. This is what Chaney actually looked like. A lot of people have seen him in makeup for the Phantom of the Opera or the Hunchback of Notre Dame. He was not really a bad-looking man. He just, for whatever reasons, decided to hide behind makeup. And what she said, her insight into Chaney, what I found remarkable, I've never seen anybody else talk about him in these terms, was that you can't really judge his acting by even the standards of the 1920s, because he was doing something that nobody else did, in that he was taking the core of the characters that he played and showing you what that inner person looked like, hence all the makeup. If he was playing an inscrutable Oriental, that's what he looked like. If he was playing a mean character like the Phantom of the Opera, he was really ugly. It was a technique that Chester Gould used in the Dick Tracy comic strips in the 1930s. You know, the characters looked like the evil personages that they were. As I say, I'd never seen anybody talk about Cheney in those terms, that he was kind of an allegory rather than an actor. It was very interesting. Cheney, by the way, could have made the transition to sound very well. He had a very good voice, but he died of throat cancer in 1930.
That would put it into your career.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I think that's an end to our segment here, Doug. We're out of time, but I want to thank you for being with us and remind people Silent Stars by Janine Bassiner is available at your library and your bookstore.
Yes.
And coming up next, we'll be having Julia Frazanki from the Public Relations Department of the Metropolitan Library System. Julia is here to tell us what's happening at our library. So Julia, what is happening?
Well, BJ, we're on the tail end of National Library Week. People throughout the country have been celebrating National Library Week this first week in April, and of course we hope everybody will continue celebrating libraries the rest of the month, every month.
Or even the whole year.
Even the whole year, that's right. This month is also National Poetry Month, and we have a wonderful series of programs and workshops. I think probably in every library we will have a program about poetry. And at the Ralph Ellison Library and the Midwest City Library, those programs will be for teens, and they will be given an opportunity to write song lyrics, poems of song lyrics, and so that should be a lot of fun for the teenage set.
I was going to say, why can't the adults join in? We like to write poetry too.
The adults can join in too. In fact, the Ralph Ellison Library is having a poetry writing contest, and it is for adults. So that'll be great fun for them as well. Two terrific actresses will be leading these workshops, Kelly Rhea and Heidi Daniels. Kelly, of course, is pretty well known around the Oklahoma City area. She's done a lot of things on her own and appeared in the library for years as a lucky penny player. Heidi is new to Oklahoma City and adding a wonderful fresh element to the programs at the library.
Okay. So if you want to learn a little bit more about poetry, you need to find out what's happening at your local library.
That's right. Like I said, just about every library in the system will be having one of these programs at some time during the month. And you know, they're just like we try to do all the time. We try to schedule at different times of the day and the evening and different days of the week so that it fits almost everybody's schedule. Everybody has an opportunity to go and see something wonderful at the library.
So if you can't make it to the one that's happening at Midwest City, you can probably make it to the one perhaps at Belle Isle. And it's really not that long a drive, is
That's
it?
exactly right. That's exactly right.
Well, I have noticed recently that some of the libraries are not always open, Julia. What's going on there?
That's a familiar phone call to my office. We are doing remodeling, and the Southern Oaks Library has been closed. It is now back open again, and I haven't had a chance to run by yet, but I hear it looks absolutely fantastic. A new decor in that library, and not only does it look better, but it's supposed to be more user-friendly as well. So it's open, up and going, full hours. War Acres Library now is closed, so
It's sort of a rolling blackout,
that's
isn't
exactly
it?
right. That's exactly right. If you if War Acres is your neighborhood library, then you probably need to visit Bethany or Belle Isle. Those two are close by for the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
So getting a wonderful new decor at War Acres as well.
And probably even more user-friendly. I've appreciated that about all the updates and remodels we've done, is that they always seem to help make things flow a little bit easier when you get back into
You
them.
bet. One of the primary goals of the project was that, of course.
And there's one other thing. This is the evil time of year for most of us, the tax time.
That's
and
right.
We can actually find a little help, can't we?
You can if you're down to the last minute here and haven't done your return yet. We have tax help in almost every library.
And we can access that, and get information on it about it on the web. We've run out of time,
Okay,
Julia,
yes.
so they can
Okay.
hit the library website and find
You
out
bet.
all about it.
You bet.
Thanks very much for being with us. We'll see you again next time.
Local presentation of Read About It is made possible in part by a grant from Cox Communications of Oklahoma City, proud sponsor of this effort to promote reading,